In this video, I'm going to tell you about a project of mine involving root vegetables and kit-bashing creativity in a system called Turnip28. Models are expensive. Okay, well, it depends. You see, I was introduced to tabletop wargaming a long time ago through Warhammer 40k and therefore Games Workshop. I collected a horde army of orcs, and I needed boxes and boxes of the little green men in order to actually field a sizable army. So because I wanted to play the game and play games with my friends, I bought lots of orcs because that's what was needed, but didn't really have a frame of reference if it was expensive or not. I thought it was a hobby that just needed a sizable financial investment, like many do, and I didn't really think anything about it. That was until I actually looked beyond Games Workshop and realised that they were the outlier. I'm not at all arguing that Game Workshop models aren't worth the cost, their quality is exceptional. But to me, the quality to cost ratio has hit diminishing returns for me. I just don't really care how well sculpted the tiny details are. I'm happy with perfectly regular, average details and just want to play lots of different games. For instance, one Warhammer army can easily be multiple armies or warbands for other games. Sculpting technology has improved so much that an average miniature today is better than an average miniature 20 to 30 years ago. There are a multitude of other companies out there that make models of perfectly fine quality that just cost less than Games Workshop. I realised that this assumption about the hobby had damaged my own ability to explore it. I didn't know these other companies exist. I thought Games Workshop and Warhammer was the only thing that was out there. Now that I'd made this discovery and the door was open, I stepped through it and really started to explore the world of miniatures. For starters, I discovered Perry Miniatures, who do a lot of historical stuff. Historical has piqued my interest, but I never really thought seriously about the whole, Napoleonic, black powder kind of thing. I didn't actually think I was old enough yet for historicals. Because let's be honest, historical line infantry, black powder, cannons, they kind of attract a certain stereotype, and I don't think I'm there just yet. That was until I found out about Turnip28. So let's get down to it. What exactly is Turnip28? Turnip28 is a skirmish wargame using 28mm Napoleonic figures set in a kind of alternate history-ish world, where the world stagnated after the Napoleonic era and became this damp, mouldy, infested, rotten. It's just a vile place. But people have endured. Sort of. Life is pretty miserable, and armies made up of pathetic people trudge through mud at the whim of some delusioned officer for arbitrary reasons. It's still filled with black powder, cannon, fancy hats, cavalry charges, all that sort of stuff. So, in short, it's kind of like a Napoleonic weird. Take your classic redcoat soldier with a musket and a fancy hat and combine it with a root vegetable. Is that vague? Yes, terribly. But that is sort of the point. The real twist is that this game only uses the historical side as a foundation, and it's how you then convert them to fit into the turnip world that's down to you. It's very open to kit bashing, sculpting, odd paint schemes, and experimenting. It's all encouraged. There's no dictated colour scheme to follow, so you can break the chains of pre-painted box art and actually get very creative, not just copy someone else's vision. So what is the turnip vibe or world? Well, allow me to explain. I'm going to read out the introductory passage from the Turnip28 book. Turnip28, the squelchy wargame. Churned mud and swampland stretches out into the gloom. Thick fog hangs heavy in the air. Rolling barrows loom out of the murk. A strange root writhes underfoot. 1,000 years after fix bayonets, devote yourself to the roots. So that's pretty cool, right? So this world is mouldy, dirty and miserable, which can be a little refreshing when you're dealing with some war games that are centred around superheroes that never really die. You can get an amazing example of what Turnip28 is by checking it out on the internet. There's been loads of very creative artists and sculptors that have unleashed their potential with this topic and made some truly inspiring stuff. This is something I don't really feel you can do much with stricter systems. it doesn't encourage it as much in some systems where model size or base size is very restricted. You can see the Napoleonic vibe with muskets and line infantry, then the slightly odd angle with helmets, faces hidden behind visors, roots growing out of backpacks, mud everywhere, battered flags flying and mutated vegetables oozing through the mud. So, with the full creative license to convert models however you want and do whatever you wish, what exactly have I done with Turnip28? Well, I have actually been pretty busy on this. Because I knew a independent non-GW game wouldn't really be well received in my gaming group, I decided to drop some money on 2 armies. It is a lot easier to introduce people to a game if you can provide all of the bits. So these models were done using Perry Miniatures French line infantry and Agincourt mercenaries for the armoured helmets and visors. I've never done line infantry like this before, so I didn't do a lot of converting on these units. I wanted to get that rank and file, that military marching feeling, and I like to think I've got just enough of the weird turnip feel. We've got mud, dirt, roots, all sorts of things growing in odd places, and then hidden faces behind rusted visors and helmets. Painting these models was actually really refreshing. I just threw browns, reds, loads of dry brushing, washed it all, dry brushed it again, and that's pretty much it. Like, if you pay attention to these models with a really critical eye, you can see loads of mistakes. But I feel that this sort of fits the vibe well enough. Everything is dirty and filthy. So this model here is the officer of one of my armies. It can just be a single model on a base, but due to the flexibility of the game, you can make things a little bit bigger and make a little diorama. It doesn't change the stats of the model if anyone's wondering, it just looks cool. I thought that it would be quite fitting to have this sort of arrangement, leaning more on the military angle, having a drummer and a standard bearer. So those models were for one particular army, more of a uniformed approach. This model, however, is the officer of my second army. I wanted something a little bit less military for this second one, and more like a mad cult leader. So the story behind this army is that they're simple peasants with their favourite wagon of compost filled with the best roots that they can find. As you can see, it's a work in progress, and I do look forward to updating you as this all comes round. And this is just my interpretation of things. If you want to sculpt a giant rotten potato out of putty and call that a valuable objective, then do it. Embrace the oddity that is Turnip28. This is likely why I've been so drawn to it. It's just different. Yes, it is someone else's idea of a world and a setting, but that's where the line stops. The player gets some incredible creative freedom with other parts in interpreting that setting, and it opens the door to other bits of the hobby, such as building, sculpting, kit bashing, and lots of kind of exciting painting. I'm certain other things out there exist like this, and I'm really glad that they do. Otherwise, people will be building the same models and painting the same things. Well, that's it from me, folks. I hope you're inspired to build or paint something a little different than you normally would. Take care.